What's up, y'all? We are here for wedding day. Wedding day. We had 3 couples coming into this. And we're going to see how many couples actually got down the aisle. But if you are new here, please subscribe. Please do that. Please turn your post notifications on. We got the reunion next week. That's what I'm most excited about. This episode was kind of boring, honestly. But it was a good episode for like wholesomeness for one particular couple. The other one, I was just watching and I'm like thinking about everything else that we already know that wasn't known. But yeah, we're going to get through it. Please thumbs up the video, y'all. Drop y'all's comments down below. Y'all already know what to think. You already know not to think. Y'all already know what to do. You already know what to do. I'm pretty sure it's not too many thoughts in regards to this, but if you got them, drop them. But let's go. So we start off with Marissa and Ramses, where we left off the last episode, where Ramses is having cold feet. And Marissa's pretty much reassuring to him that she wants to marry him, telling him like that's just the risk of taking, that's just the risk that we're taking with falling in love with each other, is kind of going in scared. Like essentially like you got to trust each other, and everything she's saying is true. And he's sitting there saying that he understands, but his nieces, his mom, his brother, a lot of his friends and family he's been having conversations with apparently, and he said that all these long conversations had made him realize a lot of the things, and his ex was hurting a lot during the divorce. I'm like, what the hell does that have to do with this right now? Like, you mean to tell me after all of this, you weren't thinking about none of this until this moment? I'm like, why is this all of a sudden being unpacked? And now I'm sitting here thinking as I was watching it, I'm like, where's her mother at when we actually need her? But he's saying that he's scared something could happen where he ends up hurting her. I'm like, just tell this woman that you don't want to marry her. Because, like, at this point, you playing in her face. And it's disrespectful. It's stupid. Like, you get this far. I can't stand when they get this far and then decide to have cold feet. Like, you playing in her face. What is the purpose in you doing this? But she's obviously getting annoyed. And she's like, we just talked about all the risk, about everything that could happen, but it's just literally the two of us. Like, yeah, you can have all these conversations with everybody else, but we're all that matters at the end of the day. If we feel good within each other, that's all that matters, because we're gonna be the ones that's gonna get married. We're gonna be the ones that's gonna have to live together and go through life together. Everything she was saying is true, but it's just clear he's just not in the right state of mind right now. But he ends up saying that he doesn't think that love alone is enough. There are certain things that you just can't get around. I'm like, okay, so you're talking about the kids, her wanting to have kids soon, her not wanting to have unprotected sex, the military stuff. I'm like, all of this stuff that you already knew that you could have made the decision before going wedding dress shopping, going to get your tux and everything, your suit and stuff. You could have done all of this before, Ramses. Like, this is stuff that you already knew. Like, you already knew the stuff about the military. The kids, I mean, I guess, because she said 3 to 5, but she said 3 to 5 years in the pies, too. So, essentially, all of this is not news to you. And then her about the whole sex situation. That's just really what it comes down to, if you ask me. I feel like he just don't want to be with her because he's not going to be able to have sex with her all the time like he wants to do. And he's not going to be able to fuck her raw, essentially, because she don't want to do that. So, I'm like, just be upfront with her. But she's pretty much reassuring him that she loves him and she loves him enough to understand what he needs and meet him there. They keep talking about how they think they're going to be great together. Well, she's saying this, that they're going to be great together. They bring out characteristics in each other that aren't necessarily always being shown. He says that his feelings are telling him to move forward, but in the past, that's what's caused him to make the wrong decision, saying that he doesn't want to just allow himself to just fully be led by his feelings and start thinking logically as well. I'm like, you should have been thinking about all of this before. I understand once you get closer and closer to the day, a lot more things are a lot more heightened. But I feel like you as a grown man, you've already been through what it is to get married. And you claim that you was ready for it. I'm like, you just playing with her. I felt for her a lot in this scene. But he ends up saying that he doesn't want to make the same mistake again. She ends up asking if he feels like he's going to do that. And he ends up saying up until this point, he hasn't. But the conversations that he's had essentially is making him think that there could possibly be something that he might have brushed aside that is super important to him. I'm like, but we all knew this was coming, though. That's the whole point. We all knew this was coming. But she says that she understands, but why is it such a big deal now? I'm like, exactly. Why is it such a big deal now? You knew you had an issue with that before. Why didn't you just address it then? It's like certain things which I said before, certain things you do have to overlook, but big things like that where they're never going to agree on what it is with her being in the military. If she wanted to go back into the reserves, they were never going to agree on that. So that's when we already knew that was not going to work for them. We knew they weren't going to work. So my whole thing is, with them having such strong opinions on certain things, especially him, why did you continue? That's just the whole thing. You let her get so deeply invested in you to the point where now you're self-sabotaging and then trying to play it off like it's not you, it's me. And of course she starts crying when he says that, and she's like, you told me that you fell in love with me because of who I am. And he's pretty much saying too, like, he's sitting there doubting if her energy is too much for him. I'm like, you literally lived with this girl for like 3 weeks, I'm assuming at this point. You've been around her all this time, so was the energy too much for you then, or is it now too much for you now? Like, it's just, I felt for her. But he then says, like, in the pies, it felt amazing. But I'm like, outside you claimed it was still good too until this moment. But she ends up talking about how she's heard this so much before. The first 3 months with her being in relationships with other men in the past, they all say the same thing is great the first 3 months, and then they end up dipping. So she's obviously hurt. I was like, where's her mother at when she needs? Where's her mama at when she needs her? Like, her mama said, you hurt my daughter, I'm going to cut your balls off. She's hurting. Go cut them balls off. But he's steady feeding her bullshit and everything. And it's clear she's over it, low key. But you could tell she's deeply invested. But she's crying, and she's crying hard at this point. She's saying that she just wants somebody to be sure about her and choose her. And he ends up saying that he fell in love with her for who she is, which is part of the reason why they bonded. But they couldn't tell what it would be like in person. I'm like, what are you talking about, Ramsey? Like, Ramsey was not making any sense to me. But it went from light to outside. Like, it was light when they first started talking to dark. And I'm like, I don't know if this was all in the same scene or if it was chopped. But we get back to them and they're hugging now. And both of them are crying essentially, but she's crying a lot harder. He's stating that he's sorry. She's crying even harder now. So in this moment, I'm like, they done called off the wedding. I said, Marissa's mama gonna beat his ass. She gonna beat his ass. But now he's crying, talking about how it's hurting him. And now she's crying even more. And I couldn't understand what she was saying in the moment, but he suddenly stops crying. He was crying, at least from the grimacing of the face. But the tears were not. I was looking at his face when he stopped crying and his voice stopped shaking. And I ain't see no wetness under none of that. So, and I ain't see no tears in his eyes. So I'm like, Ramsey, are you an actor? But she's crying, saying this is the worst heartbreak she's experienced. I'm like, that mama is not going to like this. But she walks out of the apartment and she's hyperventilating in her direct-to-camera interview, stating how like 2 days before they were picking out wedding dance songs. Both of them were emotional, thinking about everything. And now she's questioning everything, obviously. But she's on the phone with her mama now, too, which I wish we would have heard the full conversation, because I know she probably would have been cussing up a storm. But we could barely, I don't think her mama really said anything on the phone because Marissa was just literally crying to her. And I'm sure her mama was just sitting there letting her just kind of vent to her, but she crying hella hard. But that's where we left off with them. It's clear they're done. We'll see what happens at the reunion, though. But we get to Garrett and Tyler and Taylor and Ashley. They're having their bachelor and bachelorette parties. Garrett and Tyler went with their boys to the Washington Wizards game against the Charlotte Hornets. Garrett and Tyler were also a part of the halftime games. Like, when you go to a game, you know how, like, whenever they have, like, the halftime stuff, like the little carnival games where you start doing the obstacle courses with the basketball, they was doing that. So they did that. I don't know what Ashley and her girls was doing. Y'all would let me know. Y'all as women would probably know more than me. I couldn't understand what they were doing. But they're there with their girls, and Ashley had one of her friends that was a guy there as well. Taylor's talking about how her and Ashley are strong women and how they got super close in the house, or in the pods, and they became best friends, and they're best friends outside now. And talking about how they're strong, and normally little things that were non-negotiables that would have happened in normal life, they would have walked away. But they've had to kind of give grace considering how fast this process is and how they're moving forward. And pretty much saying like non-negotiables and everything, they kind of have to kind of move with grace. I said, nope, not me. It don't matter how fast, whether you're in a long-term relationship or a short-term relationship that's moving a lot longer. It's a long-term relationship that's moving in a short-term time frame. Non-negotiables are non-negotiables with me. So I don't know about that, but we moved to the wedding days. Ashley and Tyler, they're up first. Ashley arrives at the venue. She's talking about how crazy it is that her wedding day is finally here. She's been dreaming about all of this since she was a kid, and now it's finally here. She sits down and she reads a letter from Tyler, which I'm assuming he had gotten her some flowers. I'm assuming, I couldn't tell. But Tyler's arriving to the venue now. He's stating that he didn't sleep the night before, says that this is going to be the biggest day of his life. Yeah, it is. But his boys come and join him. He talks about how much he's been through and how Ashley's love was just essentially coming through the wall. And he says that he can't wait to spend the rest of his life with her, and starts crying yet again. We all know Tyler is very one with his emotions. But his friends are talking about how he used to be Gangsta Ty, saying fuck love, all that type of shit. I was like, oh, okay, it explains. It explains everything else. Because he been out there. But his boys start talking about when they get what they're going to do when they get out the wedding and everything. And he's pretty much saying, like, we're going to go in here. But his friend ends up asking, because he said, like, we're going to the baby making station. And his friend says, so y'all trying to have a baby soon? Is Ashley trying to have a baby? And Tyler says in a year is essentially what I guess they agreed on. But Ashley and her girls come in. Ashley's got a pretty bridal party. Like, all of her friends look just as good as her. Like, beautiful. The main friend that was talking, she looks like somebody I cannot put my finger on. She looks like somebody. I don't know if it's somebody that I know personally or if it's somebody that's like a celebrity. Y'all tell me if y'all can tell me which one. Ashley's friend is light skinned. Y'all tell me who she kind of reminds y'all of. See if y'all can piece together what I'm trying to figure out. But I can't figure it out. But they come in there, and one of her friends had brought her a robe for the grown adult activity after the wedding. And they ask her if she's ready. And she says, like, yeah, I mean, I thought I would reach this point a while ago. And then there were points where I didn't think I was. And now we finally here. And I feel like I found somebody that loves as hard as I do. She tells them how she feels safe emotionally, especially because that's the most important part. That's the most vulnerable part of her that she's been able to share with him. The same friend, she's asking, like, who is the big spoon and who's the little one? Ashley says, essentially, like, he allows me to be powerful, but essentially it's like a 50-50 split. Like, we do everything essentially together. But the friend ends up asking, like, or says too, like, it's the beginning stages. Like, when in the beginning stages, they're always kind of good. I'm like, that beginning stage ain't really that good. The only thing is, Ashley don't know all of what she needs to know. She knows there's kids out here, but she don't know how invested this man has been in those kids' life. Like, he told her, but the thing is too, he didn't tell her for real that he doubled back and the other two kids was not sperm donating, according to the baby mama that's been on Twitter and TikTok letting it sing, which I'm glad she is, because that's the truth. We need to know the truth. And Ashley, most importantly, needs to know the truth. But Ashley starts singing Tyler's praises and everything, and that one friend, she ends up asking and pretty much saying, like, I can't wait to meet him. I can't wait to see him watching you walking down the aisle. And she ends up saying, like, the only thing that won't allow her to say yes to Tyler is if something catastrophic happens in the next few hours. But she said something on his... she said something like, and what she meant by, like, in the catastrophic, anything happening catastrophic in the next few hours, like if something happens on, like, she sees something on his face, reads his body language, any intuition that she has, she will then say no. But, yeah. But she ends up talking about how, like, this is essentially a big leap of faith, which it is. It definitely is. But Tyler's friend, Jake, the one that we met a couple episodes ago, he's pretty much talking about how fast it all happened. And Tyler's saying, like, it feels like 2 years to me, though. Even though it happened in a couple months, it really feels like 2 years to me. And his friend is pretty much asking Tyler how he feels. And Tyler says, I think we're good. His friend said, thanks. He said, that's the key word. I'm like, yeah, it is. But Tyler ends up saying, like, I'm 100%. And his friend says, so do you think she's 100%? He's like, I think she is, but you can never know, which is true. You can never know. But I'm sitting there thinking, as this happened, I'm like, does the friend know about everything? Because I'm thinking in my moment, I'm like, does the friend know? Obviously, the friend should know about the kids, obviously, because if that's your friend should know that you done literally fathered 3 kids. But I want to know, too, like, does the friend know that this conversation has been had? Because Tyler, the reason why I feel like Tyler's so nervous about if she says yes or no is because he knows he didn't tell her all of the truth, and he wants to know if that's going to be enough for her to say yes or no. But regardless, his friends saying that he's excited for him and hopes that it works out because he can see that in his mannerisms and everything that he's all in and he really wants to be with Ashley. But Ashley, she's getting dressed and she's looking beautiful, looking more and more beautiful. Her friend ends up asking if Ashley's dad is coming, and she ends up saying yes, he'll walk me down the aisle, but he gonna pass me off to my mama, and my mama gonna give me to Tyler. And her friend says, how you think he gonna feel about that? And Ashley said, you lucky to be here, bro. Like, you lucky to be here, because apparently she has a better relationship with her mom than her dad, because she said, my mom did the heavy lifting. Like, sounds like her dad, like I said, when we first met her dad, you could tell her dad is Pimp Daddy. Like, he gave off that smooth player vibe, and it all just makes sense. It all makes sense. But Tyler, he's looking more and more nervous as it continues to go on. His boys take a celebratory shot with him. And Tyler's brother is there, and he's saying that he gonna take them glasses out there because he ain't trying to cry in front of everybody. But Ashley comes out in her dress, and her friends are telling her how beautiful she looks. She does. Her mom and her grandma are there. All of Ashley's friends, beautiful. Beautiful. Like, everybody around Ashley's beautiful. Her mom's beautiful. Like, they're all there. But her grandma is nervous, and Ashley talks about how much this means to her, how much them all being there means to her. She's really happy. She looks beautiful, like I said. And she's pretty much talking to her mom and her grandma now, saying that she's learned everything from watching her grandpa about the man that she wants, the things that she wants, the things that she doesn't want, and just wanting somebody that she can trust and have that longevity that her grandparents had. And she says, too, how losing her grandfather, it brought her to mending her relationship with her own dad and just loving him for who he is. And she ends up saying, like, I know one thing for sure, though. I don't want a man that's like my dad. Like, I saw how he treated all these women. I saw how he treated my mama. And I don't want that type of man for me. That's essentially what she's saying. And her mom ends up telling her, like, you've healed. You've chosen to forgive. And they're happy for her. I'm nervous to see this reunion, man, especially for her. That's the whole part that I'm nervous about. But they know, well, Tyler's mom, she comes in to see him, and he's immediately crying, of course. She ends up asking him what's wrong. He said he's nervous, and he's talking about he's just got his emotions all over the place. She's telling him he's going to be fine. He says it's just a lie. I'm sure it is. Like, your situation, I'm sure it is. But getting married is a lie. But considering his situation, I'm sure it's a lie. But she ends up pretty much reassuring him, essentially, like, it's jitters. She's literally reassuring him everything that he's apparently said to her. Like, you said that you're good. You good, right? And he's sitting there shaking. He said, like, yeah. I'm like, he ain't convincing to me. Like, you could tell everything that he's been lying about is going in his brain. You could tell. But his mom is pretty much reassuring him of everything that he has said to her. His mom then asked about his dad. And he says, yeah, like, I thought about him this morning, about him not being here. And then he said something along the lines of, like, I think he's dying at home or something. Like, maybe he's ill or whatever. I don't know for sure. I couldn't really tell. Y'all tell me if y'all figured it out. But his dad's not there. But Tyler says essentially, like, his dad is essentially a random person to him. So it doesn't sound like his dad was as present in his life. I can't remember if he even discussed that in the pods, but it's been so long and so many episodes since we watched that I can't remember. But regardless, all the guests are getting in their seats. Tyler's mom walks him out. His grandma is there as well, which I'm assuming is his dad's mother because she's black and his mom is white. But they had dancing flower girls. I thought that was cool. They had 2 dancing flower girls. Ashley comes down the stairs to greet her dad, and he lets her know how beautiful she looks. He talks about how he had imagined all these days, or this day particularly, all those days before, and now he's actually seeing it and how proud he is of her. He's pretty much giving her a lot of advice, telling her, like, life is about change. It's all about fun. Look at the positive sides. There's always negatives, but don't dwell on it, but thrive and enjoy the positives. I said, I understand not dwelling on the negatives, but this one negative you cannot overlook. You can't. In this situation, you can't. I feel like a lot of this was strategic placement. Like, the conversations that were had in Ashley and Tyler's were strategic to me. But they walk out because he was emotional too, talking about how much he loves her and whatever. But they walk out. The officiant gets everybody up there. Tyler was crying immediately when he saw her, obviously, because she looked beautiful, like beautiful. I'd have been crying too if that was my wife. But they walk on out, so they're up there. The officiant gets everybody up. Yeah, and then he passes Ashley to her mom. Her mom gets her up there to Tyler, And they sit up there. The officiant, he ends up praying over them, talking about everything that you already know with a wedding. Pretty much telling about the obstacles and stuff, like, but there's gonna be a lot of joy, a lot of love. Remember it, like, love is essentially what he said. Love is, you feel it, but it's essentially doing it. Like, you have to literally prove every single day that you truly love your partner, your wife, your husband, because there's going to be days that aren't going to always be as great, but the love that you have for each other, you're going to have to work through it to continue to live that happily ever after. But they read their vows and everything. Obviously, Tyler's crying and stuff, like, of course. He's promising to cherish her and support her dreams. Her mom is crying watching it. She's crying. She then reads her. She starts crying a little bit. They just saying the same thing, essentially, that they've already said before. You could tell looking at him as she's reading that he's literally still thinking about everything else that he done lied to her about, if you ask me. But the officiant then tells him, like, it's now time to decide if love is really blind. He asks them, do you do you take your wife? Do you take your husband till death do us part? Both of them say yes. Obviously, she does. He does. They kiss. The rings go on. Obviously, they jump the broom as well, which I love. And yeah, they talk about how excited they are. They can't stop smiling. They're cheers into the both of them. They get married. We'll see if it lasts. We'll see. Garrett and Taylor, same situation. They arrive to the venue, same venue. She's talking about how it's going to be a lot of happy tears today. He has his friends coming. Essentially, these two are a lot more... I feel a lot more confident with these two, honestly. I feel like these two out of every couple this season are probably the ones that I was the most confident in making it down the aisle. And I feel like these are the two that could actually make it the longest. Even though he had lied to her about that texting situation, it's a big thing. I feel like you should never lie to your partner. But I don't feel, considering the fact that it was innocent, I don't feel like it was that big of a deal. And that was the only issue that they really had, truth be told. But I'm going to skim through this one, though, because respectfully, they're boring to me. They were kind of background noise. Because I was watching Ashley and Tyler because I'm like, what if something happens? I was waiting on something to happen. These two already knew they were going to get married. But Taylor's dad comes to greet Tyler. And I'm like, he's on TV. Taylor's dad is on TV. And I don't know why I was expecting him to be Asian as well, but he's white. But her dad helps him do his bow tie and everything. And Garrett's pretty much reiterating to her dad how much he loves her and how much he'll protect her and everything. And talks about how, like, getting his blessing was a big thing for him and Taylor. And her dad he's pretty cool. You can tell her dad is just like her mom, like super chill. Considering how Taylor had made it sound, I was expecting him to be a lot more, like, I don't want to say cold, but low-key cold. But he was super invited. You could tell, like, he trusts Gary. And you could tell, we didn't get to see it, but you could tell the meeting with Garrett and Taylor when they went to San Diego as well. Because you could tell he trusts Gary. He told him that he loved him, and Garrett told him that he loved him too. And he was like, you more than have my blessing. Like, I trust you. He starts crying too, letting Garrett know that Taylor was there for him when he had lost his brother. And pretty much letting him know, like, you got to rock. Like, she's really going to be there for you. So, good for them. The dad goes and meets Taylor up there where she's already in her dress now. She looks beautiful, too. Her dress was very understated. Ashley's was a lot more glamorous, if you want to ask me. Both of them look beautiful, but you could see the contrast. And I feel like they both kind of went for their personalities, too. Ashley's very chill, but that beauty that she has needs to be a little bit more, like, dolled up even more with the dress that she chose. That's why I feel like she chose that dress, and it made sense for her. Whereas with Taylor is also super chill, but Taylor's chill is a lot more, like, on the same level. Whereas Ashley, she's chill, but you can tell Ashley can turn up, for real. But Taylor's dress literally looked like something that Taylor would wear. It was super understated, but she looked beautiful. She really did. But her mom and her dad are up there talking to her and everything. Her dad pretty much lets her know, like, I've never seen your mom this excited. And we find out that they're getting married on the same date that Taylor's dad and her mom got married, which we later find out, too, that Garrett's parents got married on 13, too. So all the generations, His parents got married on the 13th. Her parents got married on the 13th, and they're getting married on the 13th. I said, they gonna make it. That's what I feel. I hope so. I feel like all the signs are aligning, but we get Garrett and Garrett's parents. I was like, oh, they here. Good. Because I was getting nervous because everything that we've seen led to, especially mama. I was worried about his mama the most. The dad, I was like, the dad could probably show up. But the mom, I was like, she just didn't seem too sold on this being so quick. Like the quickness of it all, she just didn't seem too sold on it. But essentially, they're there and they're reassuring him essentially that they have his blessing. They trust him. He's smart. They trust him to make the decisions that are best for him, and they're going to be there to support him. And yeah, his mom was like, yeah, I trust you. This is a big thing. We've watched you grow up. She gets emotional, obviously. But yeah, like good for them. They give him their support. Dad says that we're not questioning it. We don't question you. We know that y'all are in love. So let's do it. So the family and friends, they file on in. Garrett ends up getting walked in by his mom. Obviously, his niece was his flower girl. That was cute. And Taylor and her dad, they're having a calm, joking. Their conversation was super like chill. Like it wasn't like, you could tell it's a big moment, obviously, but like they took a more relaxed approach. And I like that. And it's interesting to see her dad on camera because he seemed like a natural on camera. I was fully expecting him, especially considering the fact that he didn't want to be on camera. I was expecting him to be a lot more awkward on camera. He seemed chill and relaxed, like the cameras weren't even there. So that was good to see. But they go on out there, obviously, same thing. Garrett was grinning ear to ear when she comes walking out. The officiant starts making connections to their scientific connection in the opening monologue and everything. They exchanged their vows. They both had notes. Taylor comes up there with a damn manila folder, low-key. And they exchanged their vows. They both agreed to be husband and wife from that day forward. And they're happily ever after as well. They kiss and everybody's excited. So, and then at the end, they had their reception parties, all that type of stuff. So, yeah, everybody looked good. Everybody looked good. I'm just gonna give you the reaction for this episode. But I was fully worried. I'm like, can we get a sneak peek for next week, the reunion? But we gonna see it. We gonna see it. And I got one more episode, and then I'm done with my first Love Is Blind season. So thank y'all that have joined me so far this season. Thumbs up the video. Drop y'all's comments down below on what y'all think is happening at the reunion. Let me know. Let me know what you think. But yeah, I'll see y'all then. Subscribe if you are new. Share the video if you would like. That would help me out. And I'll see y'all then. Peace.